In this video, I'm going to show some examples of how to subtract unlike fractions. Question number 1 is 7/10 minus 1/6. Next, we'll look for a common denominator of 10 and 6. I will count by tens, 10, 20, and then 30. 6 goes into 30, so I'm going to use 30 as my common denominator. That happens to be the least common multiple of 10 and 6. I'm going to then multiply the 10 by 3 and the 7 by 3. That way I'm multiplying by a version of 1 whole, which gives me an equivalent fraction of 21/30. The 1/6, I'm going to multiply the 6 by 5 and the 1 by 5. Again, I'm multiplying by 1 whole. 1 times 5 is 5, so it gives me an equivalent fraction of 5/30. I'm subtracting these, so 21/30 minus 5/30 is 16/30. But that is not one of my answer choices, and that's because it's not in simplest form. I can pull out a 2 from the numerator and the denominator because 2 is a common factor. So 16 divided by 2 is 8, and 30 divided by 2 is 15. So your final answer, 8/15, that's answer choice A. Question 2 is 3/14 minus 1/18. And when I'm looking for a common denominator in this one, I can start counting by 18 and get 36 and then 54 and 72 and so on. But I don't immediately see a common multiple of 18 and 14. So in this case, I'm just going to multiply the two numbers together. And I know that that's going to give me a common multiple. And that will give me a common denominator. So I'm going to use 252 as my common denominator. That may not be the least common denominator, but I'll just have to do some more simplifying at the very end of the problem. To make my equivalent fractions, I'm going to multiply 3/14 by 18 over 18, and that gives me 54 over 252. And then I'm going to multiply 1/18 by 14 over 14, which gives me 14 over 252. This is a subtraction problem, so I'm going to do 54 minus 14, which is 40 over 252. And I know I'm going to have to do quite a bit of simplifying here. Again, I don't know all the factors of 252, but I do know that it's an even number, and so is 40. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out a 2 over 2, which gives me 20 over, and then half of 252. If you can't see that just in your head, go ahead and divide it out. 2 goes into 5 twice, and then into 12 6 times. So we've got 126. Now, both of these, 20 and 126, are even as well. So we can again divide by 2 over 2. And then we get 10 over. And if you're not sure of what 126 divided by 2 is, go ahead and work it out. But in this case, I can do this in my head fairly easily. It's going to be 63. And now we're going to look for any more common factors of 10 and 63. The only factors of 10 are 1 and 10, and 2 and 5. And 1 is the only common factor, so we have our simplest form, which is answer choice C. And question number 3 is 3/20 minus 1/15. This is one where I can find a common multiple fairly quickly if I count by 20. 20, then 40. 15 doesn't go into 40, but 15 does go into the next multiple of 20, which is 60. So 60 is going to be my least common denominator. And I'm going to multiply 3/20 by 3 over 3, which gives me 9/60. And 15 goes into 64 times, so I'm going to multiply 1/15 by 4 over 4, which gives me 4/60. 9 minus 4 is 5/60. That is not in simplest form because 5 does go into itself and into 60. It's a common factor. So I'm going to divide by 5 over 5. And then I get 1 over 12, which is my final answer, 1/12.